Since the first stone tools were created more than 2 million years ago, humans have continued to invent. We look at some of the most dangerous discoveries that have altered the course of history. 1. Control of fire. Fire was one of the most crucial and deadly things that early people found out about more than 1 million years ago. At first, it was just a natural force that people were afraid of and stayed away from. But in the end, people learned how to control it. Fire kept people warm, prepared food, and kept animals away. It converted caves into dwellings and nights into days, but fire can also be used as a weapon. In a matter of hours, villages and towns may be set on fire. In only a few minutes, forests may be gone. Even now, wildfires kill thousands of people and destroy whole areas. Human civilization might never have moved forward without fire. But with fire, people learned that any tool that helps them move forward also has the potential to destroy. Fire was the first sign that power comes with risk. It was the first sign that the same flame that warms may also burn. 2. Gunpowder. It started out as a quest for eternal life, but ended in fire and blood. In the 9th century, Chinese alchemists who were trying to make sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter found a recipe that didn't make eternal life, but something much more dangerous: gunpowder. Originally, it was utilized for fireworks, parties, and religious ceremonies, but people are always close to war. Gunpowder was soon put into cannons, bombs, and muskets. On its smoky battleground, empires rose and perished. The Mongols took it west, transforming the way people fought forever. Castles that people thought were impossible to break fell apart in a single night. But every time you find power, you also get a curse. Gunpowder gave people power, but it also caused death, conquest, and ruin on a scale that is hard to imagine. A single spark may wipe out whole armies. A thing that used to be a sign of amazement turned into a weapon of dread. And behind every explosion is the unsettling truth: people never create anything without thinking about blood. 3. Electricity. People used to think that lightning in the sky was a sign of God's anger, but the world changed forever when people understood how to harness that power. Electricity became the unseen lifeblood of society. It lit up homes, factories, and eventually whole cities at night. But there is danger behind the brilliance. One wrong touch might kill you right away. One broken grid can bring whole countries to a halt. And as businesses increased, so did the risks. After electricity came electrocution, flames, and the steady poisoning of the world by coal and oil. Our digital world is still on the edge of its fragile supply. Society would fall apart in a matter of days without it. And even darker, electricity is the basis for weaponry, from electric chairs to electromagnetic pulses that can destroy communication systems. The light that brightens our nights also tells us about shadows, warning us that every light has a dark side just waiting to be turned on. 4. Fission and nuclear energy. Scientists found out in 1938 that splitting the atom produced an incredible amount of energy. At first, it was a great achievement in physics, a way to get electricity from a new source. But in hidden labs and subterranean bunkers, that discovery was turned into the most deadly weapon ever made. Hiroshima and Nagasaki saw the horror. 2 cities were wiped out in seconds, shadows seared into walls, and tens of thousands of people disappeared in an instant. Nuclear technology offered an unlimited supply of clean energy, but it also left behind toxic waste that might damage the Earth for thousands of years. Today, whole countries live in fear of nuclear war, where one button might terminate all of life as we know it. Fission was meant to be a step forward, but it gave people the power to wipe themselves out totally. The atom, which used to be invisible and innocuous, became the most hazardous secret in the universe. This shows that not all doors are meant to be opened. 5. The vaccine for smallpox. Edward Jenner took a big risk in the late 1700s. He gave a boy cowpox in the hopes that it would protect him from smallpox, which is the most deadly disease in human history. It worked, which shocked everyone. Jenner had found the first vaccination in the world. It was a medical miracle that saved millions of lives and eventually got rid of smallpox for good. But the way to this victory was not easy. Early tests were rough and dangerous, using live viruses that occasionally killed people before saving them. The story isn't over yet though. Samples of smallpox are still kept in high security labs, but many people are worried that they could be used as weapons or get out by accident. The vaccination was a great scientific achievement, but it also showed a terrible truth. The same instruments that heal may also hurt. Yes, people beat smallpox, but they also discovered how thin the line is between saving someone and ruining everything. 6. The steam engine. The world came to life when James Watt made the steam engine better in the 18th century. There were more factories, railroads crossed continents, and ships conquered oceans. The Industrial Revolution began. It was a time of new ideas, fast progress, and new ideas. But there were dangers hiding beyond the smoke and steel. Workers died in flaming bursts as steam engines blew up. Factories were prisons of work, full with smoke that made it hard to breathe and heat that made it hard to breathe. The steam engine made people addicted to fossil fuels more than anything else. The coal that fueled growth also poisoned the air, setting the stage for the climate calamity we have today. Every train that sped ahead brought them closer to a better future and a worse fate. The steam engine was more than just a mechanical. It was like Pandora's box, opening the door to industry, pollution, and power battles all across the world. It showed one scary truth: development always comes at a cost, and the debt is still being paid. 7. The World Wide Web. The internet was created during the Cold War as a way for the military to stay alive. But once it got out, it spread like wildfire all over the world. The internet has become the biggest library in the world, linking billions of people in a hidden web of information and conversation. It provided us quick access to knowledge, friends all over the world, and the ability to talk to anyone. But it didn't take long for its hazards to show. Hackers take advantage of it. It is used by governments to watch people. Criminals fare well under its shadows, and the worst part is that truth is now under attack, lost in a sea of lies, propaganda, and deepfakes. The internet promised freedom, but it also led to addiction, cyber warfare, and manipulation on a worldwide scale. It started as a way to share knowledge, but it quickly became a maze of control. The internet might not bring us together, it might take us over. 8. Antibiotics, penicillin. In 1928, Alexander Fleming accidentally found a mold that killed bacteria. This lucky find of penicillin marked the beginning of antibiotics and saved many lives. Infections that used to mean certain death were suddenly treatable. Doctors have found a way to fight killers that couldn't be seen, but power always brings risk. Superbugs are germs that don't respond to treatment because people use and abuse antibiotics too often. These tiny foes are now changing quicker than our drugs, which might send people back to a time when even a minor cut could kill them. Hospitals, which used to be sanctuaries of healing, could now become breeding grounds for plagues that can't be stopped. Antibiotics provided people a new lease on life, but they also set off a ticking time bomb. The wonder of penicillin may one day be lost as resistance grows, and with it, the idea that we have beaten sickness. 9. Radioactivity. When Marie Curie and others figured out the secrets of radioactivity, they opened up a whole new area of study. Radiation promised strong cures, amazing discoveries, and infinite options. It lit up secret places and even gave power to cities. The light, on the other hand, hid a dangerous secret. Curie died after being exposed to radiation for years, and her diaries are still too radioactive to handle. People who worked with radium paint got sick, and their jaws fell apart. People in whole communities didn't know they were poisoned, and their kids got sick from waves they couldn't see. Radiation is a conundrum since it can both heal cancers and cause them. It may also light up cities or make them unlivable for hundreds of years. The Chernobyl accident and the Fukushima meltdown are scars in history that show what may happen when people lose control of something they can't see. Radioactivity brought light to people, but it also left behind shadows that will never go away. 10. Dynamite. Alfred Nobel sought to make it safer to mine. He came up with dynamite in 1867. It was a tremendous instrument for breaking rock and making tunnels. It changed the way buildings were built by blasting roads through mountains and laying the foundations for contemporary cities. But gradually, people's darker instincts took over. Dynamite was used in combat and to scare people. They used it to break up trenches. Revolutionaries used it to bring down governments. Even criminals used it to kill people and steal things. Nobel, who was troubled by the damage his invention caused, gave away his money to pay for the Nobel Peace Prize in a last-ditch effort to make things right. But the fact was still true. Dynamite transformed the world for good. What was meant to create was also destroyed, showing once again that people will always find a way to hurt each other. The sound of the dynamite going off is more than just an explosion. It is the sound of a man's remorse echoing through time. 11. The plane. The world was shocked when the Wright brothers flew for the first time in 1903. People had crossed the sky, which was the oldest barrier. Soon, airplanes connected continents, making the world smaller and easier to cross in hours instead of months. They opened up trade, tourism, and the idea of exploring. But the sky suddenly became dangerous. During world wars, there were dogfights, bombing attacks, and firestorms from above. From the air, whole cities may be wiped out. Terrorists and hijackers started to target civilian flights, which are emblems of freedom. Even today, plane crashes remind us how dangerous flying can be. The airplane is both amazing and scary. It brings optimism and anxiety in equal measure. People were never supposed to fly, but once they did, the skies became a place where dreams came true and nightmares happened. 12. Chemical weapons were new to the world when they were produced in World War I labs. They converted the air into a killer without being seen or heard. Soldiers died in trenches from choking, being blinded, and being burned by clouds of chlorine and mustard gas. International law forbade chemical warfare because it was so terrible, but there are still covert caches and bunkers and warehouses all around the world. Accidents, leaks, and bad actors might set them free again. Science that once promised healing and industry also created toxins that could wipe out whole towns without a sound. Chemical weapons are still an unspoken horror for people, weapons that turn breath into death. They show that sometimes the most harmful discoveries are not loud or dramatic, but quiet, creeping, and impossible to get away from. 13. AI. What started off as simple code has turned into machines that can learn, change, and even outsmart humans. AI now runs the industries, health, and the gadgets we use every day. It tells us what to do, drives our automobiles, and answers our inquiries. But there is risk hidden behind its ease of use. AI can be turned into robots of war that work on their own. It can make deepfakes so genuine that truth loses all meaning. Automation is a danger to whole industries because it may make employment disappear quickly. And some people say that the future will be even worse, when AI doesn't listen anymore, but makes decisions, where people are no longer needed. Artificial intelligence is a reflection of us, but much bigger. It might be our best tool or our last mistake. We go closer to a world where we are no longer in charge, but pray with every line of code we write. 14. The press for printing. Johannes Gutenberg transformed the world with ink and metal in the 15th century. Kings and priests used to keep information to themselves, but the printing press changed that. Books became cheap, which made it easier than ever to share ideas. It helped start the Renaissance, the Reformation, and revolutions that brought down empires. But this new freedom also brought instability. Dangerous ideas, lies, and conspiracies spread just as quickly as the truth. Words on a page started wars. Information, which used to be sacred, became a weapon as strong as any sword. The echoes are still there now. Social media is just the printing press coming back to life, spreading both truth and lies at lightning speed. Gutenberg's machine showed that knowledge is never neutral. It can make civilizations or break them apart. The press gave people a voice, but it also gave them the power to disrupt everything by yelling. 15. Plastic. People thought plastic was a wonder substance in the early 1900s. It was cheap, long-lasting, and useful for many things, so it took the place of wood, metal, and glass. It wrapped our food, built our houses, and even saved lives in medicine. But its strength was also its weakness. Plastic never really goes away. It just splits into smaller and smaller pieces. It chokes oceans, kills animals, and gets into the food we consume and the water we drink. Researchers have even identified microplastics in human blood. What was once seen as progress has now become pollution on a global scale, but society can't let it go. There is plastic in everything and everywhere. It is a revelation that can't be undone, a poison that hides behind convenience. People sought something that would last forever, and they got it. The cost? An earth that is drowning in its own creation. 16. The compass. For hundreds of years, sailors used the stars to find their way, but storms would hide them. Then there was the compass, which was just a needle that always pointed north. It opened up the oceans, letting explorers go where no one had gone before. Civilizations grew, trade thrived, and the era of discovery began. The compass didn't just take people to new places, it also led to war. Colonizers used it to invade continents, enslave people, and build empires with blood. The compass made it possible to map the world, but it also split it up. Indigenous cultures were destroyed, old territories were taken, and the balance of power was changed forever. The compass was more than just a way to find your way. It was a way to take over. It showed people how to move forward, but a lot of the time it led to greed and disaster. Evidence that even the tiniest inventions may change history in big ways. 17. Genetic engineering. CRISPR. Scientists have found a means to change life itself in the last several years. CRISPR technology lets people change DNA very precisely. This could lead to remedies for severe diseases and the end of inherited ailments for good. But this power could also be very scary. The same instruments that can heal can also be used to make super soldiers, change whole species, or even make new biological weapons. Designer babies could happen, and genetic advantage could split society. A single error in a lab could lead to the creation of a virus that spreads quickly over the world. Genetic engineering has a godlike power since it can change not only people, but also the very blueprint of life. People are once again enticed to unlock Pandora's box, and the question comes up again. Will we utilize this power to make the world a better place or to destroy it? 18. Drilling for oil, also known as black gold, is found deep below the Earth's surface. Finding it changed the world we live in today, powering vehicles, planes, and whole economies. Oil made countries rich and powerful, which led to wars and empires. But each drop costs something. Poison spills into the water, flames destroy rigs, and conflicts break out over control of it. And even worse, burning oil has filled our sky with smoke, trapping heat and changing the temperature of the whole world. This so-called miracle fuel has caused floods, droughts, and rising seas that will affect people in the future. Oil was the lifeblood of the modern world, but it was also its gradual poison. Even now, countries are holding on to it tightly because they know that removing the addiction could cause economies to crash. Oil is more than just fuel. It's a deal with the devil, where success today means disaster tomorrow. People bore into the earth and found power, but they also found their biggest curse. 19. Exploration of space. When people first looked up at the stars, they seemed far away and impossible to reach. But rockets changed everything. The 20th century space race opened up the universe by sending satellites into space and people to the moon. It was a victory of desire. But this success brought new dangers. A lot of satellites are currently orbiting Earth, making space a graveyard of junk. A single crash might start a chain reaction that would keep humans on Earth forever. Even worse, space is now the next battleground. Countries are turning satellites into weapons in case of wars beyond the skies. And then there's the biggest unknown. What if people bring something back? Bacteria from space, poisonous dust, or something more worse? The goal of space travel was to bring people together, yet it may be the thing that keeps us apart. The stars hold endless potential, but they also hold endless risk. People have left their cradle, yet they might not make it through the journey. 20. Social media. At first, social media appeared safe. It was a means to communicate to friends, share pictures, and interact. But it rapidly grew into something far stronger. It shapes elections, spreads revolutions, and changes the way people think. Addictive algorithms give us what we want, which keeps us browsing for hours. People are furious, confused, and divided because truth and lies mix so well. For some people, social media is a way to stay connected. For some, it's a trap. Research indicates it exacerbates depression, anxiety, and addiction with comparable intensity to narcotics. Governments and businesses use it to spy on people, control them, and influence them. What started as a digital playground turned into a war zone of power. Social media doesn't only bring us together, it changes us, shapes us, and sometimes even kills us. The most frightening thing about social media is not the technology itself, but how much it dominates the human soul. Which one do you think was the most dangerous? Let me know in the comments.